What's going on, and welcome to another installment of Chicken Scratch Gospel. We're thankful that you joined us today. I'm your host, Matt, along with co-host Daniel. What's going on, Daniel?
What's up?
Chilling,
Yeah.
getting ready for episode 5 of Chicken Scratch Gospel. For those of you that aren't familiar with Chicken Scratch Gospel, it's for all those moments in your prayer, devotional, worship time that you just have to write down, no matter how messy it may look. God is always talking to us. He's always downloading things into our spirit. And sometimes you get it written down and you go back to look at it and it's a little messy to look at, bruh. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And sometimes when you don't write it down, then you're just mad at yourself. You're like, man, why didn't I? And then you're thinking about it. And it's one of those, like, it's at the tip of my tongue. Like, it's right there. I know what it is. But then, yeah, and it just drives you crazy.
It's so true, man. And that happens all too often. And so make sure that you write it down.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person who'd be like, I had a word, but I don't remember.
Have those Chicken Scratch Gospel moments. Share those Chicken Scratch Gospel moments with us too, man. We'd be stoked to hear them. This is our 5th episode, actually. We're really, really excited, man, to have the opportunity to be able to come to you and do this and unpack our personal Chicken Scratch Gospel moments. And today's episode, we're going to be talking out of Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. I'm going to share out of the Message translation. And we're titling this episode, Recover the Rhythm, because there's nothing worse than dancing with someone who has no rhythm. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about, because
Why you grinning?
That's me, man. That's me. That's why.
How is this possible that you have no rhythm? Because
well, I mean, when
I
do have rhythm.
If people that are listening, y'all don't know, Daniel, he's a musician. He plays basically every instrument. He understands timing. You create beats. The opening and closing beats for this podcast, you made them. You can feel the music.
I know. It's, you know what, the hands, like the brain and the feet, but I guess the whole body going in the You know what, I don't. But I don't really, like, that's not my thing, dancing.
Right.
And so I never, like, care to learn how to, get in rhythm and dance. It's just never been a part. I can, I think I can.
You can do the side to side, one.
Yeah,
two,
but
one.
Felly would tell you that I don't. And so I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't want to and I don't care to.
That's possible. And just if you do struggle with rhythm, those of you out there, just 2 things that will help you. Number 1, if you're ever at a place where there is dancing, just sit down, bob your head a little bit. Every time that you count 1, 2, 3, every 2, bob your head a little bit, and you'll be fine. And if you go to church every single Sunday, you're not in charge of the clapping. You let somebody else set the tempo for the clapping, all right? If you don't have there's nothing worse than dancing with someone with no rhythm. And I've been out there and I've done it, and I think I've definitely been out there and not been the best dancer of the 2 of us that were dancing, and been like, oh, I'm bringing this person down. I feel really bad about this. But I love the way that Matthew chapter 11 says this. Jesus is speaking and he says, are you tired? Are you worn out? Are you burned out on religion? This is the Message translation. Jesus says, come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. I mean, I wish I could just talk just about that, because I'm not the best at resting. I'm not very good at that. And maybe we should do an episode where we talk about
that would be a good one.
Rest and the value of the Sabbath and why it exists.
Yeah.
But Jesus says, I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. And then it says this, learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. So there's a kind of, whenever you read things, sometimes you can see that there's kind of like an implied negative here. So the implied negative would be this. He says, learn the unforced rhythms of grace, right? That's what he's encouraging us to do that. The implied negative here would be, or don't. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace, or don't. But he really desires us. Right? And again, it's not just the rhythm. when you're dancing and you're figuring out, you're filling out where the rhythm is. It's not just the rhythm. It's the unforced rhythm. And once you do, you'll recover your life, your whole life. You'll find that life that Jesus so desperately wants us to be a part of. And I think that especially in this day and in this time, there's just such a sense of worry. There's such a rush. It's, where does the time go? There's not enough hours in the day. I feel so rushed. I got so much to do in so little time. And there's a reason why worry and hurry rhyme with one another. Mm-hmm. There's a reason. If this is happening, if this is your life, then you need to learn the rhythm. Because it sounds like if this is what your life is like, that where does the time go? You're hurrying around. You're always rushing. It sounds like you don't have rhythm. It sounds like the rhythm has you. Right. And if you allow the rhythm of this world to get you, that's a problem. I don't care. Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine, they warned us a long time ago, the rhythm is going to get you. If you don't get that rhythm, then the rhythm will get you, and you need to be careful, because a good dancer doesn't rush. Yeah. A good dancer understands this is the tempo and moves with the tempo. You know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah. And, I talking a little earlier, it's funny because I think along with rhythm, there's a lot of pressure. When you think about rhythm, especially if you're really trying to, stay on beat or trying to go with the flow of the rhythm, right? And you don't have it. I mean, for sure with dancing, if you tell me, hey, we're gonna go dance tomorrow, I'm gonna be stressing the night before. I'm be like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can do that. Like I don't dance because if you're not on rhythm, then you just look like, you know what that you know that.
I know what it feels like, for sure. I've been there. And
so, but not just that, even like in the realm of like musicianship and playing, there's a lot of pressure too. And sure. And for some of you guys that know, if you play to a click at all,
right, yeah.
There's a lot of pressure to stay on that click and move with the beat and move with the rhythm of the song and make sure that, or else it's out of whack. It doesn't sound good. So I think there's a lot of pressure. So when I think about this scripture and we're talking about rhythm, I think of when he says, "Are you tired, worn out, burnt out of religion? Like, are you feeling like so pressured? You're trying to do something and you can't." So that's where you're tired and you're just kind of, stressed out and you're just kind of overwhelmed because you're trying so hard. And I was thinking about this too, and I was reading this, burnt out on religion. Why does Eugene Peterson say burnt out on religion? That was interesting to me. Yeah. Because I think we try to do this ourselves. Mm-hmm. And when you start to do things yourself, that's religion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so, so you're out of God's rhythm and you're burned out and you're stressed and you're frustrated. And Jesus says, stop doing that. Like, come to me. Mm-hmm. Come find rest. Come get away from that pressure to perform or pressure to be a certain person or abide a certain law or whatever it is, and get on my rhythm. And so when I think of that rhythm, I think of the pressure. But when you begin to draw close to God and you get in tune with him and in rhythm with him, man, there's that grace and there's that love, and he puts you back where you need to go, where you need to be. Yeah,
and I'm glad you brought up the, for our musicians and singers out there, man, the click and track thing, because there's a very real pressure that comes with that. There's a very real thing of like, oh man, I got to listen to that, and I have to enter into worship, or and I have to do this, or and I have to do that. And there's the reason why is not because it's like it's crazy difficult, it's just that there are tricky songs. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's songs that you don't think would be tricky, right, that sneak up on you and get tricky. There's one of my favorite songs out there is a song called Glorious Day. Mm-hmm. I love that song, man. You call my name and I ran out of that grave. It's such a fun song and just so it just gets it. The problem is, if you ever listen to the click or the track for this song, it's trickier than you think.
Yeah.
And it'll get you. And it's just the timing is weird. Something is weird in it that always, and maybe it's just for me, I end up wanting to force the song or try to control the song. And that the same thing happens, right? This religion that we're talking about is there are tricky seasons that come into our lives, tricky seasons that we enter into. There's tricky moments in life. There's storms, there's waves, there's winds, and we try to control it. The religion is us trying to force the rhythms of grace on what we experience because we haven't learned or at least applied the unforced rhythm that Jesus is inviting us into. And Jesus is saying what you need is you need a partner. You need somebody to teach you how to dance to this rhythm. And here's the thing about Jesus. He made the rhythm. This rhythm, this unforced rhythm of grace that Eugene Peterson so eloquently paints this picture of, Jesus is the author of the beat for this rhythm. And so Jesus is the best dance partner you could have in this life.
Right.
And he's the one saying, do you want to dance?
Yeah.
He's inviting us out on the dance floor. Do you want to dance? I don't know how to dance. That's fine. I do. I know how to dance.
Yeah.
And I'll teach you.
Yeah. And you don't have to hit the mark. And that's what I love about this whole concept of dancing, because you're right, Jesus is the instructor and the scripture says learn. So that implies that you're going to mess up. Right. You're going to make a mistake. You're not going to get it right the first time. You're going to grow in it. You're going to learn how to move with the unforced rhythms of grace. And when I think of grace, it allows you to mess up. It allows you to not get it right, not to be pressured to hit the mark, you know? And so that's what this life is about, man. It's allowing God, allowing Jesus to take it, you know, allowing him to teach you. And you fall, you make a mistake, you get back up. You fall, you don't get it right. It's okay, because the word says that his grace is enough. His grace is sufficient for you. And so he gives us that grace. But what I loved about unforced is that it's unforced. It's rhythm, but it's unforced. And when I think of rhythm, automatically in my mind thinks of, man, this is forced. But if there's any dancers that actually know how to dance, it's unforced rhythm for them. These pros, man, like that already.
They just move.
They just move, man. It just goes it's just like this natural gift that you have where it just flows. And I think that's the concept here, is that Jesus is saying to us, hey, come to me. And it's just going to flow, you know, like I'm going to take it all. Yeah. I'm going to teach you, you're going to learn, and it's going to flow, and it's going to work out for the good. And I think that's a great place to be, you know.
Yeah, it's so good, man. And I remember, you know, like the first dance I ever went to, because when you're a kid and, you know, if you ever had babies, or maybe you got babies now, you put on music, babies just move.
Yeah.
They don't care what it looks like. They're just going to move however they want to move. You know what I mean? It's in them to just move. And I loved watching my kids when they were babies just kind of just move, because it was just such a cool experience for them.
Yeah.
You know, for me, really, for them, I'm sure it was because they were just having a good time. They didn't care. They were just having the best time ever. But for me as a dad, like, just, you know what I mean? Just when you're watching your kid have a good time and they're just moving around however they feel like they need to be moving around, and they're having their best time ever. But I remember when my first dance experience outside of being like a baby child, you know, it was junior high. You go to this dance and you're really kind of, you know, boys are against the wall, girls are against the wall. The boys are thinking that they're somebody, so the girls really should come and ask them. That's not really what they're thinking. They're really, really terrified and petrified to go and ask the girls to dance, and the girls are on the other wall going, I wish somebody would just come up and ask me to dance. And so what happens is the girls end up just going and dancing on the dance floor by themselves, and the fellas are looking like chumps standing against the wall trying to pretend like, yeah, man, so we're going to play basketball tomorrow, we're going to do that, like trying to act like they don't want to be out there dancing because they're not sure about what to do out there. And the first time that I actually danced at a dance like that, I got asked to dance by a girl, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, look, I would love to dance with you, but I don't know how to dance.
Yeah.
And she was like, that's okay. It's a slow song. And I was like, it's a slow song. And she's like, yeah, come here. And so I went out to the dance floor with her, and she put my hand, this is where you put your hands, this is where I'm going to put my hands, and this is what you do. And she just started dancing with me. And there's so many instances in the Bible where Jesus goes slow, or at least to us, it's slow.
Right.
It's a sway. It's this movement that's not like running or speeding, but it's like it's slow. I was afraid that I wouldn't go out there and dance during a fast song. You crazy? I don't know what I'm doing. So that's okay. It's slow. He waits at a well. He hears of a sick, dying friend. He waits 3 days before going to him. He pauses when he's got a multitude of people around him when a woman touches the stitching of his garment. Like he's not moving at your pace. He's moving at his pace. And it's unforced because he's just living his life. And what he's saying is, come and learn how I live my life. Yeah. I don't know how to dance. That's fine. You might step on toes. It's fine. You're gonna step on toes. You're gonna mess up, but that's okay. Yeah. I'm gonna teach you how to do this.
Yeah. And I do gotta say, I could slow dance, man. I could do that. I could slow dance. You give me I got rhythm for that. Now you put on a faster song, then yeah, it's gonna. But you know what? I love this, man, because this kind of goes into even the whole discussion of balance versus rhythm. Balance, the whole balancing act in your life. When you try to like juggle too much,
is there such a thing as balance? Do you think?
Right.
Or is it a rhythm?
It's a rhythm, and I think that's what we're reading here is saying. It's saying learn the unforced rhythms, because there's going to be times in your life and seasons where your rhythm is a slow dance. Yeah. And then there's going to be times where it's a mid dance. And then there's some times where it's just like that, boom, boom, boom. That's how life is. And so I think it's understanding what rhythm am I in right now? What season of life? Like there's times in my life where things were moving fast, man. And that was our rhythm. We were waking up, driving here, doing ministry here with our kids here, coaching soccer here. Like it was a season where it's just a little faster pace. Right now, the rhythm of my life is slow. It's a slow jam, bro. I'm just slow jamming, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah, but that's the rhythm. So I think it's recognizing the rhythm, because that's how life is. There's stages and seasons where there's going to be times where you're just, I was talking to my daughter the other day about going to college, and when you're 19, 20, 21, all the way to like 24, that's the rhythm of your life. You're going to school, right? You're studying, friends. So, that's just the rhythm. It'll change, And so Jesus is saying, like, don't get caught up in just the balancing act of life and trying to like carry it all or balance it all. Like understand your rhythm and make me a part of that. And then he says here, keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. And I think it wasn't until I got this whole concept of rhythm that I began to live freely and lightly, because I didn't feel the pressure of trying to make things happen anymore. Yeah. There it is again, that pressure, that religion that we make this out to be. Like if you did something to begin with to get in good standing with God, the only thing that you did was you said yes. Jesus did everything and then asked, would you like to dance? And if you said yes, that is the extent of what you offered here. Mm-hmm. You offered yourself and said yes. And again, just I do love the thought of balance versus rhythm, because I think that for a lot of us, I think we believe in this. I almost want to call it a myth. I really do. This myth of balancing, everything in your life. That's not the way that life works. Life is not always balanced, but there is always a rhythm to life, because in some seasons of life, you're like, you got to balance work and you got to balance home and you got to balance this and you got to balance that. There's going to be some seasons in life where you need to work overtime every single day for 6 months. You're working 15-hour days. You come home, you eat, you go to sleep. You kiss your kids, you pray for your kids, you go to sleep, you wake up, you do it all over again. Don't tell me your life is balanced. It's not balanced. Right. You're dancing to a different rhythm. Mm-hmm.
you can figure out a rhythm to make sure that that season is successful in the eyes of God and in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of your employer, but you're not balanced, so to speak, and then there'll be other seasons in life where maybe you have that shift you've been waiting for your whole life at work. Man, you're up early and you're doing your devotion, and then you're working out to a podcast, and then you know what I mean? And you're up and you got most of your work done before people get to their job. And then you're home before dinner, and you help cook dinner, and you serve the family, and you kiss your babies, and you hang out. You have all of this. You feel like, man, all of a sudden I have all this time. No, you don't. It's just a different rhythm. It's a different dance. I love you said right now your life is a slow jam. Sometimes life is a slow jam. I like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just the way that it is, and it feels amazing when you go into those seasons where life is a slow jam. Man, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Sometimes life is EDM. Sometimes life is a rave. Sometimes life is crazy. But it's still life. There is still a rhythm somewhere. And the best way to ensure that you don't look like a fool and die out on this dance floor is making sure that you're trusting Jesus as your dance partner.
Right. I think this even can go back to, we talked about in episode 3, I believe, not everything that's good is good for you. Yeah. And I think when we try to balance life out, we try to juggle so much, and we try to do things that we probably shouldn't be doing in that season of our lives. Even though it's a good thing, it doesn't fall in a rhythm of where we're at, of the season of our lives. And so when I think of rhythm, God has us at a certain rhythm in our lives. We understand that, but what we do is we try to still put all this stuff on our backs and on our plates. Yeah. And that disrupts the rhythm of where we're at. And so here he says, learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Right. Like God's going to give you, like if that doesn't get done in this season, like that's okay. You know, that's okay. Like God has grace for that, and it could be something good, but hey, this is the rhythm of your life right now, and roll with the rhythm of where God takes you. Yeah.
That's so good. I love that. Again, identifying I wonder if we could consider what are some identifiers for when the rhythm is changing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, what are some ways that we can identify when our season's rhythm is getting ready to shift? Because there's ways that we can prepare ourselves, and we just got out of 3 episodes talking about the vine, the true vine, and abiding in the vine, and having a life union with the vine, and being close to Jesus, and all of those kinds of things, choosing life, choosing to remain in Christ. And obviously, the closer that you are to the one who is conducting the rhythm, the better chances you're going to have in being able to roll with all of the different songs that'll be on the playlist of your life. But what are some other ways, I wonder, where we can identify? Like, for example, if you're getting ready to start a new job, then maybe what you need to do is you need to kind of take some inventory on what you're doing right now in your life, take an inventory of what your priorities are, and see what you can do to ensure that you're still having time with God, that you're still having time with your family as you get ready to start this new endeavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think a lot of us just, we don't do that. And that's a very, very good, like, proactive thing to do. But many of us do not do that. We wait till we're over here at the beginning of the scripture. It says, are you tired? Right. Are you worn out? Are you burnt out? Yeah. On religion. I think we're not proactive, and we wait till we get to like, there's just so many things. I'm just so tired. I have no passion for that anymore, or whatever it is. Like, because we tend to just run to stuff because they're good things. And I've been talking about this because I think it's so easy to get caught up in that, but we just run with things because they're good things or whatever to somebody. We can't say no. So we don't say no to people. And so we always say yes. That's a big one. That is a big one. That's a big one. And then you find yourself tired worn out, and burnt out. And so I think that those are huge identifiers of like, hey, like maybe you're not in the rhythm of your life right now. You're trying to balance your life right now. And that's where, the danger is. But yeah, I think proactively speaking and taking inventory, and asking and making like he says in this, he's like, walk with me and work with me and watch how I do it. And I think that if we come to Christ and we pray and we say, Lord, this is the season of my life. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
Where do I go? Lead me. Like what matters right now? Does this matter? I love doing this, but is this what I should be doing? Like open my eyes to see what matters most right now in this season and in this rhythm. And I believe that God will show us, and his word says, I will teach you.
Yeah.
I'll teach you. I'll work with you to show you these things. And so there's a time in my life where I was doing a lot of music. I was doing a lot of producing, making music, trying to write stuff. And I was forcing it though. I came to a place where I was forcing it to happen because I didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And so my prayer in that season was like, Lord, what am I doing right now? And he said, your family is important. That's what's most important. That's priority. So I was going to school at the time.
Yeah.
It was like, finish that. And then I was in ministry. And so and I love to do that, but I had to let it go for however long. And so there's just some things just like, that's not like completely done with, but I need to put that, to the side for a little bit.
Yeah. You might, maybe it's some stuff has to pause while you take inventory of what's going on in your life now. And in all honesty, I mean, when I look back at the beginning of this too, and are you tired? Are you worn out? If you're like helicopter fisting into a death wall of a mosh pit in the season of your life, here's the problem. If you're feeling tired and worn out, you're at a wedding, bro. You're not at a metal concert.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be moshing right now. It's the wrong dance and the wrong rhythm and the wrong timing. That's why you're tired. That's why you're worn out. Maybe it's some of you that have stopped dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you have quit dancing. So you turned back into that junior high boy that decided, I'm just going to walk over here to the side of the wall and I'm going to watch everybody else dance. And it's so tragic to see so much potential in people that just choose not to dance because maybe they stepped on somebody's toes. Maybe they feel like they stepped on Jesus's toes. And so they decided they weren't going to dance anymore. Mm-hmm. And something that I've learned about Jesus is this is what makes him the best dance partner, ever. It's not just that, he's the one that created these unforced rhythms, but he's the type of dance partner where if you step on his toes, he can handle it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He can handle it. If right now you're listening to this and you feel like you stepped on Jesus's toes and so it caused you to quit dancing and you walked over off to the side of the dance, you got some punch and you sat down in a chair and you feel like I'm never going to dance again because I stepped on his toes or I stepped on somebody's toes. Mm-hmm. Listen to me. God is big enough for that.
Right.
You can ask God for forgiveness and you can find out more about the unforced rhythms of grace.
Right.
Because that's just, it's unforced. It's his will. It's for his plan. It's God's grace in perfect rhythm.
Right.
And so don't quit the dance because you may have been dancing the wrong dance at the wrong time. Don't stop dancing because you're burned out on religion because you were trying to create balance where there was only rhythm. And don't walk away from the dance floor because you've stepped on some toes.
Yeah. And I like that. I think bringing it back to the context of what Jesus was saying here and the audience he was speaking to, we got to think of the book of Matthew was, the audience for the book of Matthew was the Jewish people.
Yeah.
That's who he was speaking to.
Right.
And so when he's saying these things, come to me, all you who are, heavy burden, and he's speaking to people. And I love that the translation says burnt out on religion because he was speaking to people who could never get it right.
Right, yeah.
He was speaking to religious people or people that, were in that time, people that were trying to follow the law and people that were, angry, or people that were confused, or people that were burdened, or whatever it was, you know, opposition and oppression from religious leaders. And Jesus is like, are you tired of that? Are you burnt out from that? And I love this because even today in modern day, we can get so caught up in trying to be that Christian or that person, and trying to meet that more like just spiritually speaking, like relationship with God or religion or whatever, trying to do our best and and we find ourselves missing the mark.
Right.
And it's kind of like Paul says in Romans 7, he's like, man, like, you know, there's things that I do that I don't know that I do and that I don't want to do. And he's just like, I'm just this mess. Like, I can never carry out who I want to be when it comes to like religion and you know, Christianity, because we can't. We can't carry it out. And I think that's what Jesus is saying here, is like, he's like, here in this moment, I'm talking to these, you know, people that are caught up in religion and the religious, you know, era of this time. And he's like, you can't carry it out by your own laws or whatever things that you did. Yeah. The only way you can carry it out is in me, connected to the vine, you know, dancing in those, you know, unforced rhythms of grace with me. That's the only way you'll experience freedom. You know?
That's so good, man. So a couple things that we can take away. Listen, we already know there's nothing worse than dancing with someone who has no rhythm. But the fact of the matter is, Jesus is the best dance partner that we could ever ask for. And we need to learn the unforced rhythms of his grace. And that's all the time that we have today for this episode of Chicken Scratch Gospel. Make sure that you follow us on social media. Make sure that you go to our YouTube page and you can subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications so you can be notified when we get new episodes. And as you go out this week, just recover your rhythm. All right? Go love like Jesus.